I don't care what people say, Attack of the Clones is not the worst Star Wars film. I don't really know if anyone is saying that, but I've heard some people say it's the worst of the prequels, and I just don't think that's true either. Now, to be fair, I do actually care. I respect your opinions when they differ from mine, and I have a lot of controversial Star Wars opinions. Mostly that I like things from Star Wars, and that makes people mad? Anyways, in my opinion, this is not a fact by any means, other than it's a fact that this is my opinion. The Phantom Menace is the worst of the prequels. Now, before you get the pitchforks out, I love The Phantom Menace. I just like the other two even better. I have a video about how much I love The Phantom Menace and my experience with it. I'll include a link in the description. To me, I was a kid when the prequels came out. I remember seeing each one in theaters and being excited to go see them. The prequels and the Spider-Man trilogy were impactful to a lot of kids my age. I remember seeing all of them in theaters. Now, as a kid, The Phantom Menace was not the most exciting of films, with the exception of the pod race, which even as a kid seemed a little long. Although, I loved watching it in theaters again in 2012 and this year as well. And the lightsaber duel, space battle, and ground battle at the end. Oh, awesome. Now, I remember seeing a trailer to the new Star Wars, Episode 2. And in the trailer, somebody called one of the guys Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought, that is Obi-Wan? He looks so different. The trailers made the film look so cool. I went to the theaters and I just loved the film. To me, it's so action-packed. I know a lot of people say it would be so much better without all the awkward romance scenes. However, if you really look at the film, that probably takes up a total of 5 minutes. I don't know. Maybe I should actually calculate that. When I think of The Phantom Menace, I think a lot of talking and a lot of walking and a lot of sitting and talking and a lot of sand. And I don't like sand. It's coarse, it's rough, it's irritating. You know, it gets everywhere. And then I think about the really cool pod race and the battles at the end, which I do love. When I think of Attack of the Clones, however, I think of Obi-Wan jumping out of the window. Both he and Anakin flying through the city, Anakin jumping off the speeder and falling through the city, the entire chase sequence. I think of Obi-Wan facing off against Jango Fett. I think of the droid factory scene, the arena execution scene, the hundreds of Jedi each wielding a lightsaber, fighting battle droids, super battle droids, and then the gunships and the clones and the huge scale battle, Obi-Wan fighting Dooku, Anakin fighting Dooku, and then the mind-blowing scene of Yoda fighting Dooku. I mean, this is the 5th film up to this point we have seen Yoda, and it's the first time we see him take out a lightsaber using the Force as his ally. This scene was amazing. I ended up getting a toy lightsaber, one of the cheaper ones, not the light up ones. It was the telescope style plastic toy lightsaber. At this time they made them with 2 hilts. Obi-Wan's from episode 1 and 2, and then Qui-Gon's hilt. From there they would have different colors: red, blue, purple, and green. My nieces and nephews all had one. I had Qui-Gon's hilt with a blue blade. I loved this lightsaber. They don't make lightsabers like they used to. Of the many lightsabers I have owned over the years, and there's been quite a few, this is one of the few that never broke. And I put it through a lot, trust me. That lightsaber and I went through many missions together. It was the first one I owned, besides a Darth Maul saber that broke. And it was neat, actually, to see my son playing with it one day last year. It was just, comes full circle. While Attack of the Clones was playing, I think every time we drove past the main street that the movie theater was on, I would half-jokingly beg and plead with my parents to watch Attack of the Clones. Every time they asked me what I wanted to do this weekend, I'd say, let's go see Star Wars. I remember at recess, all my friends and I would pretend we were Jedi and have the most epic lightsaber duels. We looked ridiculous, but it was fun. I'm pretty sure I saw that film 3 times in theaters. And that might have all been in the main theater, not the cheap theater. I loved this film. I dressed up as Anakin Skywalker for Halloween. The next year, I convinced my sister to sew me a costume to look like Kit Fisto. I remember one day overhearing some of my friends talk about Darth Vader being in other films besides A New Hope. My sister had the original trilogy on VHS, and Darth Vader was on the cover of one, a stormtrooper on the next, and then some green guy with pointed ears on another one. Spoiler alert, that's Yoda. I didn't realize Vader was in all 3 of them, so I never had any interest in watching the other ones. I knew Vader had a lightsaber fight, and I always wanted to watch the one with the lightsaber fight. Little did I know at the time, they all have lightsaber fights, and boy, I was missing out. So yes, I saw Star Wars in this order: A New Hope, then The Phantom Menace, then Attack of the Clones, finally The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and lastly, Revenge of the Sith. This would have actually been a really cool way to watch them if my other sister hadn't spoiled for me that Darth Vader was Luke's father and Leia was Luke's brother. Sorry if you didn't know that. Spoiler alert. I'll talk about that a little bit more in detail in my video about A New Hope. Shortly after this time period, my brother, the same one who took me to the Phantom Menace, as I mentioned in that video, took me and his oldest son to the library one Saturday for a Star Wars party. We sat there and watched all these fan films and even met people who made fan films. It blew my mind that you could create visual effects from a home computer. I had no idea that could be done. This was long before the days of YouTube and TikTok. Okay, it was probably just a few years before YouTube, but still, that's a long time in the eyes of a child. While there, we also met members of the 501st Legion as they dressed up as stormtroopers, Darth Vader, Boba Fett, and more. I'm pretty sure we got pictures, but I've never seen them. My nephew was so scared he wouldn't take a picture with the stormtroopers. I tried to convince him they were actually clones, since he liked the clones, but it didn't work. One guy there was showing us his visual effects software. It was called Alam DV2. I remember this because sometime later, my brother surprised me by purchasing Alam DV2, which led me later to buy their Vision Lab Studio. The company was called FX Home. Sometime around the time FX Home released the first version of Hit Film, and I played around with that version a little bit. I ended up switching over to the Adobe Creative Suite, which is what I use today. However, Hit Film is still going strong, and I love what they do. I still check up on FX Home every once in a while. The other person I remember from this event was the MC, because years later, when I was in college studying video production, I received a flyer about the 501st meeting up. I thought, this sounds cool. I can go meet these guys who dress up like stormtroopers. I arrived and I recognized one of the guys. It was the MC from those many years ago. And I talked to him and shared my interest of maybe one day being a stormtrooper. I wanted to be a stormtrooper because they were iconic, and I could play multiple characters in my videos with just one set of armor. I really like Boba Fett, but if I made a Boba Fett costume, I could only play Boba Fett in my videos. With a stormtrooper, I could play 200,000 people with a million more well on the way. Yes, I know, those are the clone troopers, but you get the idea. For one of my college video assignments, I interviewed some of the people from the 501st, and I kept in touch until eventually I made my own approved costume for the 501st, and guess what? It wasn't the stormtrooper armor. Check out my 501st video for more info on that story. It was amazing to finally join the 501st. It was like a 2-decade story finally comes full circle. I am a videographer. That's what I do for a living, and now I'm a member of the 501st Legion, all because my brother took me to one event in a small town library many years ago. So thanks a lot, brother. You ruined my life, but I'm certainly grateful for it. I know I went a little off tangent here in this video, but that's the thing about Star Wars and the challenge with making videos explaining how Star Wars is connected with me. It's all connected. It's a mythology that has become a part of our lives. Attack of the Clones is one of the more defining parts of my young life. That whole era, from the 2D Clone Wars to the animated series The Clone Wars, some of the video games, the prequels had a big impact on me, my imagination, and strangely enough, my career choice. Thanks for watching. I would love to hear about your journey as well. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe for more and give this video a thumbs up. It is the Jedi way. Okay, it's not really, but it's appreciated.